That's good.
Uh, yeah. So, good evening, everyone. Today we all are collected here for the reason of education, how we, spread education and we empower the students in a different way. Due to the pandemic, we all could not have connected in a much better way than this. These platforms like Zoom, Microsoft, all these platforms have given us a mode to connect with people who in the other ways we could not have connected to, like for the likes of Mr. Hisham here, who has joined us today. So we welcome our speaker for the day, who is Mr. Mohamed Hisham. Uh, Mohamed sir is currently working as a clinical staff pharmacist in Cleveland Clinic, Abu Dhabi, since 2016. He earned his Doctor of Pharmacy from India before joining CCAD. He worked as an ICU clinical pharmacist for 4 years. Hisham sir is an American board certified critical care pharmacist. He has 20 plus publications, including a book on general management of poisoning. He has presented more than 25 research papers. He also has over 25 invited talks in various international and national conferences, including the 2019 ASHP mid-year clinical meeting and exposition, which was held in US. Isham sir serves as a journal reviewer for the British Medical Journal, BMJ, case reports and human and experimental toxicology. He received an honorary award from the Indian Society of Toxicology for his valuable contributions in the field. He was awarded the best preceptor for pharmacy internship program at Cleveland Clinic, Abu Dhabi in March 2018. Hisham sir also received several awards for his research, including the Young Intensivist Award for the Best Innovative Research Paper in the annual Critical Care Conference in 2016. His interests include infectious diseases, critical care, clinical research, and clinical toxicology. And as we all see, he has a lot of accolades to back himself. And we are so grateful here that you've joined us to spread knowledge and share your experience with the students. And as we all know, today's topic is about our future as a pharmacist. Like we all will get the certificate of becoming a pharmacist someday, but what after that? And for that reason, we welcome sir, and I hand over the proceedings to you.
Thank you for the introduction. Very good evening to all. Let me first share my slides. I think the host has to allow me to share the slides. Am I in? It's asking me the host disabled attendees screen
One
share.
second, sure. I'll just make you the co-host.
No problem.
Yes, you can share it.
Perfect. So, yeah. So, am I visible now? The slides?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So, let me actually. Very good evening to all, and thanks for gathering here for a good cause of knowing what we can do after a pharmacy degree. So I hope we have good audiences. Like I was assured that I would be having students from B Farm, Farm D, and M Farm. Keeping that in mind, I've just made a broader topic. Slides are very simple. It's more about a discussion towards the end, and in between, I would be talking about. I would be explaining each of these. So the topic which has been assigned to me is career options with pharmacy degree. So let me. I do not have any disclosures. The learning objective is like at the end of the presentation, you would be having an idea of the career options for a pharmacy graduate and how to develop a career path. So one by one, I will actually cover, and as we progress, you should have a better understanding, and towards the end, we can keep the discussion. How I've actually set the slides up is like I've put into each category of pharmacy where you can actually involve. So it starts from education, academia, hospital setting, and it could be industry, marketing. and even clinical research as well. So let's look into each of them, and like we will go into it in detail. So before we actually start, I would actually want you to set a goal. Like I hope some of them have a goal before, even before this presentation. If not, like I'm sure you will be having a goal after this at least. So as a career, as you build your career, it's very important that you have to set a goal of what you want to be, and that whatever you do in your studies in your college should be focused based on your goal. Your goal in career could be one, two, or three. It's option one, two, or three, depending upon what you're actually passionate of doing. So this could have, it depends upon each individual. It can be customized based on each individual. Again, it depends upon what pharmacy degree you're doing. So it could be based on a PharmD graduate or a B Pharm or an M Pharm. So this talk can be customized based on each individual, and hope if someone has a goal before this, this talk makes it more clear. If not, someone definitely should have a goal after this, and they should be focusing on the goal going forward. Okay, so just basically starting, just let's start from the basics. So with the pharmacy degree, either it could be a B Farm, a PharmD, or an M Farm. You could have a good academic opportunity. You could be ending up teaching pharmacy students in college. It could be any. So it depends upon each place, which what the college demands, what are the necessities of each college. Some of them take freshers, some of them ask for experienced people. Depending upon them, definitely you can build your career among teaching students. So teaching students depends upon each passion of what subject you want to teach. If you are a graduate, a BPharm graduate or a PharmD graduate, you still have a lot of subjects which you can cover based on your interest. So it could be any, and it's just giving back to your pharmacy profession just to improve the quality of students which comes up. So when you're choosing a profession based on academia, it could be teaching pharmacy students. That is one main part of the academia. If you have a PharmD or an M Pharm in pharmacology or something like that, any other medical profession will also need a teaching faculty for pharmacology, which you are an expert of. Suppose you are a PharmD graduate or M Pharm pharmacology, that window also opens the window for pharmacology teaching for any other medical profession. It could be nursing, it could be dentistry, it could be any, it could be medicine, it could be occupational therapy, physiotherapy, any medical profession which needs you to add your expertise in the field of pharmacology. So academia, it's open for anyone based on passion of subjects. If you are into teaching, if you like teaching, for sure go for this, and that would be actually beneficial for molding and streaming the students who are coming up in the newer generation and in the future as well. It's actually good for a profession. The pharmacy students could be M Pharm D, or it could be even a bachelor pharmacy students. It's depending upon your passion, your subject you can choose, and you can definitely take it forward as a career. So it does not stop there. Even if you're academician, so most of these presentation may be overlapping. You could do multiple jobs at one time, and it could be overlapping. Could be doing it as a part time. It could be a full time with multiple roles. So next role I would be actually adding to this academia would be, if you're a person who is wanting to do something extra, a learning, a certification, or something added to academia or any of your profession. It is any of these which you can choose. Suppose you are a BPharm student who wants to do further studies, they can definitely go for post graduation, which could be Master of Pharmacy or a PharmD post baccalaureate. If you have an option or you want an option to do any of these, this is definitely good. Again, if you are already a PharmD graduate or an MPharm graduate, you want to do research and more of PhD, definitely you can do it. So these are there as full time and part time. Even if you're working, you can do it along with your work as a part time, depending upon the university. So all this depends upon the university based on the requirement. Again, you need a proper guide for this. Based on that, you can choose what topic. Again, You can choose what is your passion. Based on passion, you can choose the topic and definitely go ahead and do the PhD or can be a research scholar. If you're into academia, you can do both side by side, being a part-time PhD student as well as an academician. You can even do a postgraduate, that is, it could be any field of pharmacy in masters. Or if you are into more of clinical, you can do PharmD. So I've done my bachelor in pharmacy. I've changed my minds that I want to do my postgraduate, and then I took my PharmD post baccalaureate. So that's how I ended up being a clinical pharmacist after my bachelor of pharmacy. Successfully I did my PharmD post baccalaureate. If you want to do something more, or if you're planning to do something, this could be done inside India, it could be done outside India as well. So some subsequently things which I'm going to discuss could be in India, outside India. So residency program and fellowship programs, depending upon the universities, there are limited options in India, but definitely there are options if you go abroad as well. So residency, if you talk, there are, I think it's only one option should be there. It's JS's Mysore. They offer oncology residency. Again, fellowship, multiple hospitals offer fellowship. It could be infectious disease, or it could be any other fellowship related or specialty. So these are there in multiple hospitals. You just have to choose the hospital, and you'll have to go for it and apply. So again, fellowship, CMC Vellore has a fellowship where which has been structured, and so many fellowship programs have been in the process where you can even take that as an option. If you're definitely going outside India, these programs are also available outside India. It could be the US or any other country which offers residency. You just have to meet the criteria. Once you fulfill the criteria, you can apply, and it may be a time consuming process, but it's definitely worth it if you are interested in doing residency and fellowship. If you're someone who's working as a clinical pharmacist, definitely you need a few years of experience to look into and do board certification in any specialty. So as we come on to the next slide, I would be explaining more on this. So again, a board certification in the specialty is very useful, and that would add to your knowledge and quality of care you give to the patient. You can even do the other options, the MBA, or could be even masters in science, the MS. So this can some of them can be done in India, some of them can be done outside as well. MBA depends upon what you choose. So always remember, you choose your goal based on how you want to build your career. So you build your career based on the current situation, like how it goes on. So you have to keep it in mind at the time when you pass out or when you graduate. You'll have to know what would be the demand. The demand which is there now may not be the demand which is there when you graduate. Keeping in these mind, you may have to take a little bit of risk, and you may have to do some changes. That's why I actually in the beginning I've actually suggested to keep option 1, 2, and 3 in case you'll have to switch plans. So in case you're doing an MBA, it could be a general MBA, it could be healthcare MBA or healthcare management. It could be, again, so remember, one more MBA which is very useful or could be done now is informatics. Thinking of systems and everything changing into digital worlds because of the current corona crisis. So it could be an informatic MBA, informatic IT related MBA, which could be IT healthcare MBA. All these collating together may be definitely a good option and worth taking a risk, and definitely will be useful. So MBA or MS related information technology or informatics could be definitely useful. Again, there, if you want a person who wants to do a managerial role, like a role where you have to, it's managing man and your resources, definitely go for MBA related to healthcare or in general. Or you can even do MS leadership. There's something called leadership where you can definitely play a part in managing people. It's just basic understanding and managing the manpower and resources around you for a better healthcare or a pharmacy. If you are more into research, even you have an option for masters in clinical research, which gives you an insight of more of how to do research and how to come forward with different options and analyzing the research you've done. So these and all I would be subsequent discussing the subsequent slides. Master in public health is one in which you can even play a role where epidemiology comes into fact. Like you actually calculate and you actually see this. see your patient population and you discuss the epidemiology. It could be like if you take corona or dengue or any infectious or any pandemic or epidemic which has come in the country around, you can definitely put a map and see how you can do better, how you can improve the public health. It is all about getting the big data into one whole screen, and you just analyze. You contribute as a healthcare profession into public health. So that is something. Master of public health is something related to epidemiology, to prevent and reduce the spread, or it's kind of planning well ahead of anything which could be preventive, in, like suppose in case of any infectious disease or anything. So again, in that, it a lot of research options come along with MPH as well. You can even do be a research coordinator in a hospital, who when you have an MPH as well. So epidemiologist, research coordinator, everything is all an option when you have an MPH degree. So moving forward, so we what we discussed now is academia, and you have the different education and other certification options. So depending upon your interest, you can actually twist it around if you want to go based on what you want to do. Certification, again, remember, it depends upon your passion and it's your interest. So just getting one certificate and keeping it or for the sake of certification may not be useful. So maybe the demand is something else. You, for the sake of certification, you've done it, and you want to actually work on it, may not actually give you benefit. So if you're really passionate for that, then definitely go ahead and do that certification, or take an extra master degree or whatever education you want to do further. It depends upon, it's just for the sake of one added certificate may not give you any advantage. Only if you're passionate enough in that field and in that what you've done, definitely that would be useful, and that is what is going to benefit in when you go ahead in your career path. So coming on to the next topic is hospital pharmacy and community pharmacy. So this is one in which I would actually discuss more about more involvement into the hospital setting. So this is going to be more useful for PharmD graduates, or MPharm practice, or maybe even MPharm pharmacology as well, pharmacy practice or MPharm pharmacology. So remember, hospital pharmacy and community pharmacy is a specialty where you actually want to look or take care of patient care. If you're very much passionate for patient care, that is direct patient care or could be indirect through a hospital setting or through a community setting or through a clinic, or could be any healthcare system where you want to do patient care, definitely this would be a good option. So I've just listed out multiple options. I'll be going to a little bit of detail of each of these. So remember, this is more about keeping a discussion active towards the end. The slides is just basic. I would explain what each of these may and be useful, so that you get an idea of how to plan for your goal. So going hospital pharmacy and community pharmacy wise, you have specialty clinical pharmacist. So if you see, ask me what are the different specialty clinical pharmacists, you have critical care pharmacists, you have pharmacists in pediatrics, neurology, cardiology, you have for nephrology. So any of the specialty, hospital specialty you take, you have a clinical pharmacist role in that. What is the role is what how you take the profession, how passionate enough you are. So it starts from any drug related things which a pharmacist can do is what your role will come when you are a clinical pharmacist in each of these specialty. It could be drug dosing, increasing, reducing the dose based on renal function, hepatic function, or it could be any role in terms of choice of drugs, or based on the disease condition, based on patient symptoms, or it could be antibiotic selection. If you're an infectious disease pharmacist, that is you have an option for infectious disease pharmacists as well. Antibiotics, uh, putting into stewardship protocols, setting up hospital protocols which are related to pharmacy. It could be drug dilution, administration of drug, or it could be anything related to pharmacy. Again, getting into patient care, understanding the patient well, and optimizing the patient treatment. So you can give two drugs, but which out of those two drugs is the best for the patient is the one you decide, because you are the specialist in that field. Again, what is the optimal dose for the patient? So suppose patient is getting 5 milligrams, should the patient stay with 5, Or as a specialty pharmacist, your target dose is 20 milligrams. You subsequently titrate it, up titrate it based on the patient's response. You reach that. So all this is what about it's about clinical specialty. So each of these specialty you have, the role is different, but the what I told you is the in common, the general specialty thing. So again, depending upon each disease condition, your role changes. And you are an expert in drug when you are a specialist clinical pharmacist. You give the nurse or the physician the drug expertise by becoming a clinical pharmacist and dedicating your grad or your pharmacy degree into more of specialty. It could be any specialty. Again, not it does not restrict only to what I've just discussed about. It again goes into more details about counseling a patient. It could go into more details about getting proper medication history regarding the patient. It could be anything. Even it could be education related to drugs. You are teaching a patient, or you're teaching a doctor, you're teaching a nurse. It could be anything in this which would be better for the patient or optimizing patient care. That is what is specialty clinical pharmacy, which any specialty in the hospital you can pick up. There is a role for pharmacists each of this. If it's instead of targeting for like a multi-specialty hospital where it is where you have only few, you can even target clinics, you can even target nursing homes, or any of the facilities where patient is there. Your role comes as a specialist pharmacist. Another role where a pharmacist plays in a hospital is drug and poison information pharmacist. So if your hospital has a drug and poison information center, or if there is a need for drug and poison information along with quality, this is definitely a good role, where definitely queries from doctors come: what is the dosing, what is the renal dose for this patient, this patient has liver problems, what is the hepatic dose for this patient for this drug. So all these, again, if there is any poisoning patients or toxicology patients who come into the hospital, primary management toxicology is something which is you can say it's a neglected option by physicians or any healthcare, but definitely that you can definitely contribute a lot to poisoning and toxicology as a clinical pharmacist in the specialty. Again, if you take PharmD as a as a degree, you have a separate subject or discussion as toxicology in your syllabus. That is specifically very good for you to actually contribute to the poison information or poison resources when you are working in a hospital setting for a patient, for the betterment of the patient care. And you can definitely add to a clinician's knowledge what to do, what not to do in a poisoning situation. So this is poisoning and toxicology is something which is neglected throughout as a medical profession, but definitely you have a very good role to play in that. And these are something which definitely it's worth exploring into. Next role is a quality and medication safety officer. So as a pharmacist, there could be many medication errors or possibility of errors, like it could be administration, prescribing, it could be anything. So this could harm the patient. So as a medication safety officer, you try to prevent this. You anticipate. You actually do a lot of things which helps you to better administration and better patient outcome by preventing any of these medication errors. Again, this could be a part of quality of any accreditation body which a hospital wants, where a pharmacist plays a role in improving the quality of medication administration or safety wise, and it does not harm the patient in any way. And it's all about setting protocols and proper education for the other healthcare professionals, and just to improve the system in which you work for the betterment of patient care, just to improve the quality and safety of the patient. So this role, again, many accredited hospitals or multi-specialty hospitals, they have specific roles where you definitely can optimize your role in these as well. If you're into hospital administration, it's again about making protocols, setting things up. It's again quality, safety, all these things come into hospital administration. It's again man management. So it's people management who work around you in a pharmacy, or if you are in a team of members, multidisciplinary team. It's if you are into hospital administration after a pharmacy degree, if definitely that is also an option as well. It's basically, if you're a person who likes man management, this is definitely an option. If you're Again, another option, as I told you earlier, it's information technology, IT. So if you take in the current situation, it's you're trying to put in technology everywhere. So if technology comes in everywhere, you actually want a lot of people in the medical field along with technology information as well. So be if you have an option, like I've pointed out before, you have an option for MBA in information technology, healthcare information technology, or MS in information technology, which I think it's only there outside India. So you have these options in US, UK, and all. But these are still options where you can explore and have a definite role, keeping in mind the current situation where everything is going digital and no one actually wants to working like that. So if you think more digital, it includes everyone using your phones. Again, it is all about technology. Everyone does not, instead of going to hospital, everyone wants to do it everything all set in well ahead of time through computers, iPads, phones, or any system. And when they go to the hospital, they don't have to wait. So it's just reducing waiting time and doing the best. So this information technology, it again includes artificial intelligence as well, where your role, where you can actually bridge or merge together artificial intelligence related to medical and medications, and all these things to club together, you can actually improve the quality of patient care, where you actually, so you reduce the number of you reduce the waiting time in which the patient has to wait in the hospital by including artificial intelligence and information technology as well. This is also, it can also add to the safety as well, aspect as well, for if you have barcoded or unit dosings, or have multiple machines or robotics in your hospital. Definitely that's a different level of patient care, where the quality is definitely not compromised, with a lot of precision into patient care. Coming on to ambulatory care pharmacy, it could be in a hospital setting. Again, it could be a community setting as well. So you can do a more of care. It's just not dispensing medication, it's just dispensing medication added along with dispensing care for the patient, which includes educating the patient to the best and making sure that patient understands what the medicine is for, and making them know what the adverse effects and what the patient is actually taking it for. This additional care you give, just instead of just dispensing the medication, picking up from the shelf and just giving it to the patient, does not need any degree. So what, by having a degree, you can do extra is by adding the value you give to healthcare. That is, along with the dispensing the medication, you dispense care for the patient. So patient care, it could be simple counseling, it could be giving a leaflet to a patient, or keeping the patient up to date and informed of why the patient is taking the medications, the all the option, what all in regards to the medication patient is needs to know. It's what you, how you can optimize the care you give, or how you can improve your role in ambulatory setting or a community care setting. So these are options, like hospital pharmacy options and community pharmacy options. Going forward, it will be more of quality research, and also let's start with quality and regulatory affairs. Like as I have already discussed the previous slides, quality is a big factor where you actually have to improve. So this is a kind of very good a very good target or marker in foreign countries. In India, it's actually in developing phase, and it's, you could say some part of this is developed, some is in developing phase, and definitely we will do better as we go on. So what role you have in quality and regulatory affairs? If you see all these listed out points, is where you definitely have a role with any pharmacy degree. It does not need to be anything specific. It could be with a bachelor's, PharmD, or an MPharm. Does not. Again, nothing is a barrier or hurdle towards any of these. It's just your attitude towards the profession or attitude towards the job is what uh, matters. If you take pharmacovigilance, you, as I told you, adverse drug reactions could be reported from anywhere. You may have periphery centers, you may have a central unit where it all divides. So it could be a central government body, or it could be a peripheral government body which works in a urban or rural setting, where it is a center for from multiple organizations or multiple hospitals that reports any adverse drug reaction to the peripheral center, a person in the peripheral center has to report this to the central or regional office. The regional office takes it to the central government. Or it could be like, if you take the pharmacopoeia, uh, pharmacopoeia in Ghaziabad, pharmacopoeia community, or like the person is a scientist involved in pharmacopoeia development or pharmacovigilance. These are people who are more into pharmacovigilance, and the central body is there in Ghaziabad. And again, as each of these profession, you can get a role in pharmacopoeia development, or like pharmacovigilance monitoring, and collecting data from the regional offices, peripheral offices. And you can be from a role of any data analyst or a person into uh, quality in pharmacovigilance. You can even be a scientist as well in the field as well. So these are few things you can look into pharmacovigilance. Drug regulatory officer, you could be anyone. You could be an inspector or any regulatory of body who works from the central government, who wants you to do a proper drug regulatory evaluation. It could be in a community level, or it could be in the launch of a new drug. It does not have any set limits. Could be anyone in between. And definitely this role is also, you can take up this role as well based on your interest. You could be a medical advisor. Like, if you, like I told you, like a lot of the world is getting digitalized. So as you digitalize, you look into more of technology. So information technology, IT, engineering, everything is just set for people who may not have a medical background. So you're actually a person who can have the medical, plus along with the IT interest, could be medical advisors. So this could be this is just an example. So you could be a medical advisor for an IT company which develops an artificial intelligence tool, or a digitalization tool, or new IT or a robotic setup which may be useful for the patient. You could be a medical advisor for an organization or a pharmacy or a company or anything. So it could be anything related to medical advisory. May not be restricted to IT, maybe depending upon the organization of the needs. The person on the other end may not be having a medical background, but definitely as a pharmacist, you have a medical background who can definitely contribute to the advisory board as well. Quality assurance officer is something similar. Like, as I told you, the person ensures that the quality of whatever has been done is appropriate. It could be a drug level, it could be a pharmacy level, it could be an industry level, it could be any level. It's just the person assures that the quality of what you give a drug to be released, or the quality of the drug is there. Again, if it's a community pharmacy, it's run based on the quality settings or quality standards set by the government. Or if it's a hospital pharmacy, it's run based on the standards. Again, quality regulatory, you can even be an NABH accreditor. You could be an inspector for the NABH. You can be a JCI inspector as well. So depending upon it, the qualification is not a hindrance. It's just you need to clear a couple of pathways in between, where you clear exams and you apply for the job. You get the job. You are a NABH inspector or a JCI inspector. It's just you assure quality medical care. Medical quality license is a person who works in between multiple organizations or two organizations just to improve the quality. It could be between two hospitals in the same region or different region. It could be between a company and a hospital. It could be anywhere. It's just a medical person who represents for the quality in between two organizations. So that is also an option. So if you talk about options, there are plenty as well. Moving on, next area where you can build your career is clinical research and data management. This is what I've actually discussed before when I was talking about the master degrees. So if you plan to do more education, you can look into masters in clinical research. It's a specific field which actually can fetch you a job. If you have an interest in clinical research, it's again depending upon the demand of that situation, you can fetch your job in as a clinical research personnel. Again, if you do MPH, Master of Public Health, you may also have a role in clinical research, where it could be an organization in an institute level, or a higher organization where it could be a central government as well. So clinical research, data management, it could be medical coding. So if you're into medical coding, it is kind of, you're actually trying to code a diagnosis or a symptom of the patient for an insurance company or for a clinical research, or it could be anything else, just trying to code the diagnosis, what disease condition patient has. Suppose patient has myocardial infarction, or patient has diabetes, patient has stroke. So it has a medical code, or you're trying to classify that code, and depends upon the need. These roles are actually good, useful, or in for insurance companies or for clinical research as well. Again, you may not be interested in this, but these are also options which I would say you may have in your career path as well. Medical writing is something which you have if you are a part of a clinical research team, or if you're a person who's into more of research, who would like to contribute to medical literature. It could be working as a team just for research in a hospital or an organization, or medical writing as a part of clinical research. Like a big drug company hires you for medical writing, means you have to do all the documentation work or the paper work in terms of publishing a study, or uh, write up for the more for the medical field as well. So this is one thing which is again an option as well. So moving the remaining points, bullets are just roles in which it's based on hierarchy. Like if you see the next three: clinical research associate, clinical research coordinator, manager, lead, team lead. All these are roles in clinical research, where you are a part of a clinical research team in a hospital. You're trying to coordinate the work of a multinational company. It could be any company which is doing a clinical research, and it has selected a hospital as a site. You are a clinical research associate in that hospital, representing the company, trying to do a lot of paperwork and documentation. This includes a lot of paperwork work and documentation, and it is basically for people who actually love this kind of thing, like documentation, a lot of paperwork, signing, getting things done, and organizing things. So it's clinical research associate coordinator is all. If you are trying to associate maybe in one site, coordinator may be a person who works in multiple sites, manager may be a person who works in that region, or along with the project in different hospitals in that region. It could be, you could be even a team lead of a clinical research or a trial which happens in that region as well. So these are options if you choose clinical research as your career, based on like trial research or anything related to hospital, in coordination with the company. The person who's going, sorry, the person who's going to hire you is going to be a company. Usually it's going to be a multinational drug company, or could be you could be also representing a hospital in this part as well, depending upon what role is open. Coming on to clinical data, clinical data management is something which is kind of a big data which is behind the screens, like the number of they say you're trying to bring all together in terms of if it's uh, quality, if you're looking into pharmacovigilance, adverse drug reactions, or if you're taking to hospital settings, you're actually trying to bring all the data together. It's putting this data together so that it's useful for further use in when you're doing research and trials as well. So this is basically most commonly a kind of drug company which or IT company which takes up these roles, where you manage the data. And the career part starts with being a clinical data as analyst, and it goes up into clinical data analyst. Further, it can go on to clinical data coordinator, manager, regional roles, and it could be a whole team lead as well. So these are all roles which goes on as you add on. And
Uh, Excuse me, sir. I'd like to stop you for a moment.
no problem.
I'm really sorry. I'd just ask all the participants, please do not annotate on the screen. It's really not very good for the other people as well. The other participants might get disturbed. Even sir is getting disturbed. Sir, if you have the remote controls on the top of your screen, you can just turn it off for all the participants. If you will be seeing a more option,
Yeah, I can see that. Let me see.
yeah, there will be a stop annotate for the other participants.
Yes.
Yes, sir, you can continue.
It's good, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just taking it from here. So clinical data management is basically getting in data, the big data which you see on the screen, and putting it together in one place, could be basically an IT company which is working behind this, which needs to put these data together. If the hospital has a setting where all these could be pulled by a system, it's definitely easy. If not, it's all manually entered and it's all done behind the scenes. So it starts with clinical data analyst. You could be clinical data coordinator and clinical data manager as well. So this is something for people who are actually, let's see if I can. Okay. So okay. So someone who's actually interested in industrial pharmacy, these are few options which they can definitely have. So in an industry, first thing is getting into an industry is something which is difficult. If you are into it, you can just focus on building a career path based on that and optimizing, doing a lot of industrial visits or training during your career, or like during your pharmacy uh, degree itself may be useful, or getting into industry. So when you do that, you actually build a foundation for you to actually step up after you pass out or after you graduate. So if drug formulation development, all these are roles in which you can play if you are interested in industrial pharmacy, production, manufacturing, drug research and discovery, quality control. So all these are aspects where you actually work in the industry, basically focusing on all these aspects. So this is most commonly, these are taken up for, like, if you are interested in pharmaceutics or quality analysis, any of these can, you can actually end up in industrial pharmacy, where you can do more of drug development or formulation studies, or as a team with more experienced people inside production, manufacturing, drug research and discovery in the industry. Again, quality control of the drugs which have been produced in the industry as well. This is something which is it's not, definitely nothing is hard of these, but it's just need someone actually to place you inside a company. You need at least some sort of training before you actually step up into a company. So these are another option which you have if you are interested in industrial pharmacy. It could be definitely a master in pharmacy who are graduated in pharmaceutics, pharmacology, or analytical chemistry. All these people have role in industrial pharmacy if they are into quality or any of these options. Again, bachelor pharmacy can also have those options as well, but depending upon the needs of the company, it may be difficult as well. So they actually prefer someone who has a master degree with in a specific, like pharmaceutics or a quality. So coming on to the next part, this is quite simple, which some may like, some may not like. So it depends upon who may like. Is people who like to travel may like this. So who want to take things like on a less, and like who don't want to get strained or stressed, and like a lot of travel initially, or any of these jobs will have all the stress coming in along with it. But as you progress, it's all these are if you are passionate for any job, it's actually you like the profession and you actually take it forward for you by itself. So sales and marketing is something which could be a product management. Like you have a product, suppose you talk about an insulin pen which you have to market. It's just one product, one specific insulin pen you want to market, or you want to improve or optimize. It is all about product management. You could be a medical representative who could represent a specialty. It could be diabetes as a whole, or specifically insulin products, or specifically targeting as direct one insulin alone. So again, you can definitely step up on this based on your how you like to meet people, talk to people, market. If you like a person who's liking marketing strategies and all, this would actually help you to go on and do like marketing along with people. Again, it has its own every job has its own flaws and like positives and negatives. So again, it's all about, if you like a lot of traveling, could be strenuous, you'll have to go in between, could be in your city, multiple people in the sun. If it's apart from that, you may be, when you actually go up on position, like if you actually escalate your position up and you get promoted up to a good position, like a regional or area manager, you get definitely good, get to travel within the country, outside the country as well, and represent the company or the product you're going to sell. So it's again, it depends upon each person's choice. It's not, can be customized. You cannot actually tell who's interested, who's not interested. So I'm actually going to conclude my slide with these 4 points take home message. So basically, what you need to be is goal oriented from pharmacy school itself. So you should, so most of them may not have a goal now, but definitely it's an opportunity to build a goal. So building goal does not mean you are going to get a job, or you're going to definitely get a job, or nothing like that. So it's all about going goal oriented when you're in pharmacy school. So you modify your, you study, or you actually put in your preferences based on your goal. If you set goal 1, I would actually be a clinical pharmacist. Goal 2, if I don't get that job, I may go into a company for doing clinical research. If I don't get that job, I may go on to doing community pharmacy help. So these are three options, like for example. So what you focused, or how you actually build your career starts from your college. It actually starts from how you actually set your goal. So again, many of them have no goals as of now, what they may have to do in future career. So it does not matter at all. It's just whenever, before 1 year ahead, or at least well ahead. If you are doing it well ahead, definitely good for you. Even if you do it at the end also, at the end in the sense like in the final year also, but still, if you're goal oriented, that can definitely get you better rather than just passing out and trying to figure out what to do next. So again, you may have to keep multiple options, keep it open, be very broad minded rather than just focusing on one thing. And make sure whatever you need to do for that goal, you do it within the pharmacy school. Suppose you're choosing to do clinical research, you make sure that you are more into clinical research. When you are in pharmacy school, you do a lot of publications in when you are in the pharmacy school as well. If you want to do a hospital practice, or like a clinical pharmacist in the hospital, make sure when you are going through your family career or any of these career, you do all those needed things, like going in rounds with physicians, getting acquiring the clinical knowledge or the skill which you need within the pharmacy school itself. Like, make sure you find out opportunities yourself and go ahead and do that. If you are someone who's wanting to work in industrial pharmacy, you may have an option where you can visit an industry or do a 1 month or 2 months training in an industry. Make sure that you utilize that opportunity. So utilizing this opportunity means you're actually trying to connect with people who are actually in the industry and working there. And connecting with different people and networking with different people can actually get you, may get you a job, or you can actually be more focused on your goal if you have that connection as well. So, as I told you, the second point is related to what I've mentioned now, guidance from a person in a specific pharmacy field. So, if you are goal oriented, you are actually targeting this one, any of these options. Better to have a mentor or a guide or a person who's working that field. It could be just an advice. What do I need to read for being this one? What do I need to study more? What I need to focus? Do I need to do more research and publications? How to do, where to read for all these, where are the resources? All these questions can be asked with that person. Again, networking with the person is definitely important. So it could be, so like now you have LinkedIn and multiple other professional websites where you can actually network. If even if you don't see the person, it's actually good that you actually you can link a person or network through a person through any of these professional websites. So these are options which you actually have to focus when you do have a goal oriented phase in the pharmacy school itself. Having a mentor person to guide you, what resources to read, what are the best options you have, it's always a good choice. Know your career options based on the current demand is something which is very important. So some of the options may go on, or keeping 3 years well ahead, or 2 years or next year in mind, that you choose your pathway, or you have this one, two, or three goals in mind. You'll have to even customize and modify, remove one and add one, or modify. Make sure you are very flexible. And it's just an opportunity. You're actually trying to explore yourself. You may not, the thing is, first you may have to go in and get a job, and you may be frustrated with your first job not being good, or may have taking a lot of time to get the first job. But it's all normal. It's just you are trying to explore the options available based on what you have. So Nothing, no one is actually late. You can actually start anytime, and starting it is the first thing. So having that first step is the best thing. And when you have that step, definitely go ahead and you can go for a career option which is in demand, or you actually built an option. Like if you are more into hospitals, rather than looking into hospitals which is multi-speciality and may not have an vacancy available now, look for hospitals which actually do not have an clinical pharmacist or a hospital pharmacy option, where you can actually create a position there. It's good for you, and it's good for people who actually follow you as well. So it's just basically building and customizing based on the current demand. I think that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, sir. This was really helpful. Now we'll move on to a Q&A session, and sir will take in a few question and answers from you guys. So what I'll ask of you guys is to raise your hands, and I'll unmute you if you have any questions, or you can just simply type it in the chat box. We were also streaming live on YouTube, and we got a lot of questions over there as well. So should I ask go on with that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm there for questions. We can go ahead with
Yeah,
questions, and that will be better.
sure. Okay, someone is actually raising their hand. So yes, Vinay, you can go forward.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Vinay.
I'm from Pune, sir, Maharashtra.
Hello, Vinay.
Actually, my query to you is, sir, you might be having many friends here in India, sir, who are actually clinical pharmacists, right? So, what are their views about clinical pharmacy, sir, in India? As we all know, clinical pharmacy is in its developing stage right now. So, I just want to have an rough idea about how doctors are accepting us, or are hospitals accepting us as a proper healthcare professional, or is there any issue between them?
Okay. To answer your question, it's about clinical pharmacy and what are the perceptions of doctors. Are they supportive enough or not? So I definitely do have a lot of colleagues who work in clinical pharmacy back in India, who are there spread over India, working multiple specialties. And definitely, so for all these people who I know, definitely have a good rapport with the physician. And it's just goes along as a process. It's whenever you gain the trust of the physician, you actually you are a part of the team. And when they actually know your role, you definitely go ahead and you can actually improvise and go ahead and definitely give the care what you actually studied and learned about. So it's just optimizing, understanding, getting the trust of the physician. Once it's there, you don't have to convince a person. Once you already are in the team, you build a rapport between them. You just have to, the initial trust is the difficult thing, which trust may not be in this profession, could be any profession, or may not be even in profession. The trust is what is difficult to gain. Once you get that trust, so a physician has to give his patient to you to give the best care. So how can he trust you that you're going to give him the best care for that patient, the same level of care what he's going to give to the patient? So that's what matters for him. So it's that you just build a bond between the physician. You showcase yourself, you market yourself in such a way that you can actually do these many things to improve his patient care. And for sure, if that is there, the rapport is there between, and the teamwork definitely flows in after. And for sure, it's just win-win, and you actually get what you actually want.
Uh, so we're getting in a question from YouTube and on Zoom. So Ramesh and Dheeraj both asked the same question: to register as a clinical pharmacist in UAE, what kind of experience we can include prior to the DHA exam, and could you guide them about how to write the exam?
No problem. So any Gulf countries, you actually need 2 years experience. It could be a pharmacist experience or a clinical pharmacist experience. So depending upon when you have a window for taking up the exam, it could be any Gulf countries. You'll have to apply. You have multiple options. It could be pharmacist or a clinical pharmacist option. So you have to have minimum 2 years of experience, excluding your internship. So internship is not counted as experience. So after internship, you need 2 years. So 2 years has to be paid in experience. So paid in sense, you'll have to be working as a pharmacist or a clinical pharmacist with a salary which has to be shown as well when you actually get your experience certificate. When you have these, a letter from the HR saying that you have 2 years of experience as a pharmacist or a clinical pharmacist in this hospital or in this pharmacy, that itself is enough. And once it's you have that, you will have to clear, there is police clearance and multiple other things which you'll have to go through. Once all is done, there's a process called data flow, which I think a lot of agencies in India do that. You approach them with these experience led certificates, and along with your degrees which are being attested, all these they will process it, and processing may take 3 to 6 months depending upon how, if you have every paper or every document is right. And you can definitely, once it's approved, you can, you are eligible for the exam, and exam centers are there in India. Once you take up the exam, you complete the exam, you can either apply from India and start looking for jobs from there. If not, you can even come here and you can definitely look for jobs. The only thing is the job is becoming more and more competitive. You'll have to be more competitive for that as well. So it's not just clearing the exam and coming here. It's getting more competitive everywhere, in India, outside India, everywhere. So the outside India people prefer the people, graduates from their pharmacy colleges. So it's getting more competitive. So to achieve that or go beyond, you'll have to be more competitive. So that should be your target, rather than just clearing the exam, looking for a job for 1 year, 6 months, and not getting a job and going back frustrated. You'll have to actually be competitive or beyond what is expected by them, and then apply rather than just applying for the exam.
We got Ritika. Yes.
Um, yeah, good evening, sir. So I wanted to know the scope of MTM after the PharmD.
You're asking about the scope of MBA, right? If I heard it
No,
right.
sir, MTM, Medication Therapy Management.
Yeah. So okay, talking about MTM, it's I would actually say, so the scope about MTM is medication therapy management, in the sense it's an added certificate, which I don't know which option you would, or which pathway you would like to choose. The medication management therapy is basically, you're looking, it's just an added certification. So how would you actually include this in the scope is like depends upon what pathway you would like to choose. So based on what pathway, if it's hospital pathway, or it's just in a field where you want to do more of research and all those things, then it's just a certification. So MTM basically, that it's just an added value apart from like just a certification. But as a field or as a scope, I don't know how it's going to add value. So it depends upon what you want to choose. So it's just an added value to your degree, or like an extra thing which you would like to get. That is what that's my point of view for MTM.
We're getting in a question on the chat section. Bhavika and Aishwarya, both of them have the same question. Do we need to do MS before applying for PhD? And is it a good option to go for MS considering the current situation?
It's again the same thing I would like to say. MS. So all these are just going to add to your qualification. It's just you have to focus on your passion. So if you want to do PhD, you may not even need an MS to do a PhD. You can directly, if you have a PharmD or an M Pharm, you can do a PhD. Again, you can even, depending upon the country. So in India, this is the thing. So if it's somewhere else outside, they may have to do a lot of bridging courses or something in between to do a PhD. So as such, MS may not, it's just another added qualification or something which may give you a benefit over the others. But that is just depending upon your passion. You definitely want to look into this option. Uh, do a PhD, focus on something, the specific thing you want to look into MS, then that is an option. It's just an added certificate, which if you are planning to build your career path in that, that's definitely useful. Apart from that, if you ask me, you will definitely need it or not, you may not actually need it. If you are doing a PhD, you may only need some bridging courses, something else, if you want to do a PhD. Some of the countries, it actually gives, so doing an MS and MBA gives you time to adapt to the setting and do things. It's just that people who do MS go on to do PhD because that MS or the MBA gives them time to do the pharmacy qualification exams in that country and all. So it's just, that's the purpose, nothing else apart from that.
Narayani, you can ask your question.
Good evening, sir.
So I had two questions in my mind. Firstly, regarding about the MBA in IT, like what colleges would you prefer? Like you said, these are more better available outside India. So which colleges we can target if you want an admission in that. Also talking about the scopes of farm MBA, pharmaceutical management courses of in MBA. So like what job opportunities do we have after doing farm MBA?
Okay, so answering your first question, which universities you need to target. So if it depends upon you're planning to do it in India or outside India. So there's a lot of wide range of university which gives you options. So some of them are online options, some of them you have to be there, and depending upon what kind of MBA you want to do and which place you want to do, you have multiple options. If you're doing so, if you go into checking MBA in a specific like information technology or healthcare management, you get a lot of options. It's just, yeah, the name of the university or does not matter. It's just the knowledge which you get from that by doing that. So it's just, I would say, rather than doing it in a like well-known a top university, do it in a good, reasonable university. And definitely, if you have that, that is your focus is on IT or information technology related healthcare management, that is a good option where you can actually excel, thinking of the current situation. So coming on to your next question, the next question was MBA. What is your specific next question? I'm sorry.
Sir, what are the job opportunities after doing farm MBA, MBA in pharmaceutical management?
Okay, so a farm MBA is something which I think it's basically they're looking for in India. If you look for farm MBA, it's mainly the industry and how you manage things in the industry and all. So if you're looking for a farm MBA, so the hospital, it's just management of supply chain and things around industry. So you have multiple options. If it's hospital, if it could be supply chain management, and it's just managing the inventory and people around the inventory. If it's industry, it's something related to improving the marketing of the product and all. So it's again, it depends, the scope depends upon the demand. So if you find it is useful, if you ask me is it useful now, I'm not sure, because things are all, the things which are a lot of options for us have been narrowed down to few now. So you'll have to actually think of something which may come in future or may be useful in future. So if you're definitely passionate enough for that, if you have people or networks connected in this farm MBA or anything related to that, for sure they have to go through them and ask them what is the scope of this in the coming 3 years or 2 years when you pass out. So if you ask me, if you have scope, definitely all these are options. But if you have scope, because a lot of things have been narrowed down, I may not have an answer what would you have an option or not, because so many things have been restricted. You have to actually you have to check with the person who's currently working in the specific field whether it has an opportunity coming, thinking about the future. So that is my answer. For definitely for IT, information technology, it definitely has a lot of scope, looking into digitalization and artificial intelligence coming into play and all.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Monidipa has a question. You can go ahead.
Yes. Hi, sir. I am currently in my final year of PharmD, and I am a UAE residence visa holder. So, like you said, without 2 years of experience, I can't give the hard exam over there. So, if after I finish my course, if I immediately go back to UAE, so what can I do for this 2 years? Like, how do I go about my career for this 2 years before I can give the exam? If you could guide me regarding that.
Okay, this is something which most of them actually face. So they have a resident visa, or they want to come, they have relatives or family around here who want to come back right after their course. It's quite difficult because the rules and law, they made it in other countries in such a way that you actually need basic experience which for you to come and write the exam. If you take Gulf countries, specifically the UAE, you may not have options in which you can do a bridging course or an internship here or observership here, which can actually add to the 2 years experience or equivalent to the 2 years experience, and then take up the exam. They strictly stay with their rules, and they clearly say you need 2 years of experience. So if you ask me what you can do, after you come right after that, you don't have any options, because the rules, current rules are like set like that. So current rule says you need 2 years of experience irrespective, uh, and after 2 years only you'll be able to apply for exam. What you can do after coming here to get that, they have not yet planned anything equivalent to the 2 years exam for people who come from outside to do here. So they don't have any. So if you are looking for any pharmacy graduate here, they have customized the internship program such a way that they do the 6 years internship here, which is equivalent to the 2 years exam, and they can directly take up the exam, and depends upon the hospital they do. So it's just customized for graduates from this country, or the graduates from the region. So they strictly follow the rules, and they currently don't have any options which uh, gets you into an equivalent 2 year experience for writing the exam. So literally, if you want to work here, you need 2 years of experience.
So actually, I have another doubt. So I need 2 years of experience. My doubt is, does it have to be as a pharmacist? Because I know some people like who are pharmacists over there, and I was told that we can even work like during, like they know many other people who come back, and for example they work in insurance companies and various other fields, other pharmaceutical companies. What I was told is that you just need 2 years of work experience, and during that time they also prepare for the exam, and so they're getting the work experience and then they give the exam. Or does it necessarily have to be a pharmacist, like a hospital pharmacist experience? That's my doubt.
Yeah. So if you look into, there is, if you go into their website, it could, if you're in UAE, they have multiple Ministry of Health websites.
Yeah.
You have a DHA, Dubai Health Authority.
Yeah.
If it's for Abu Dhabi, it is the name had has been
Hard,
changed to
yeah. Okay.
Department of Health now. It's DOH now here in Abu Dhabi. Okay, so any of these three websites, if you go into the professional qualification requirement, they clearly mention 2 years of experience as a pharmacist or a clinical pharmacist. And it keeps changing, they keep updating. So you'll have to keep a track of what they mention, have the requirement is. Again, if you work in any other options apart from pharmacist and clinical pharmacist, it may be difficult. Again, it depends upon the rules have changed at that time or not. So as of now, it's, they clearly recommend, if you go into the PQR requirements of pharmacist or clinical pharmacist in the website, you can clearly see they'll need 2 years of pharmacy experience, uh, which they verify. So in case they verify and they are not, you do 2 years in some other insurance company or something else, but they are not satisfied with this 2 years, they may reject this option as well. So once rejected, that becomes as it would be available in the system for them to see later on as well.
Yeah.
So you can't do anything with that. So you'll be actually will have to do another 2 more years later on. So again, a lot of things, you cannot manipulate anything in the system here. Once you're found or caught red-handed, or like you through when doing the data flow process, or you're trying to do anything, you may not be even able to work in a profession as well, because they totally reject you from applying for the exam. You will be marked as well. So that's the thing. So if they, so the rules keep changing. As of now, it's pharmacy experience is what they're asking. Community pharmacy or hospital pharmacy, anything is fine. And 2 years, the whole data flow process goes, they verify. If they're not satisfied with the documents you submitted, they reject it, and they goes marked as well. So you definitely need 2 years of experience as a pharmacist if you're working here.
Okay, so thank you.
Uh, we're getting one question. Please, sir, can you guide us for MBA in pharmacy in healthcare in IT industry? I guess we've answered that. Uh, yeah, a lot of people are asking about the CSIR exam during MBA. So, what views do you have regarding that?
So to be honest, I'm not totally aware of the MBA options or the exam options after this. So I may not be able to answer this. I'm sorry for that.
Um okay, so as a PharmD, I am thinking to pursue as a clinical data scientist. So, what are your views on this, sir?
For sure. Like if you, as I told you, the option in pharmacovigilance is wide open for you if you're going for data scientist. It could be a peripheral center, regional, or a national center. So if you look into pharmacopoeia, the office in Ghaziabad, they do after PharmD, there are graduates who work as scientists as well there. and you need to come finish about multiple exams and go through your path when you have to reach there. But that is one option you have wide open if you're looking for a scientist position. It's again, if you have multiple other options as well if you're into pharmacovigilance. It's just depending upon your choice where you want to work. You'll have to choose. So the one which I told you, pharmacopoeia one, you'll have to actually work in the main center, main office in Ghaziabad. Others, again, you have regional offices, and you have peripheral offices as well. So it depends upon, peripheral offices could be hospitals, or it could be small government centers as well. Depending upon where you want to work, uh, you can get a role accordingly. And a scientist role is actually there. For sure, a PharmD can have a scientist role in the pharmacopoeia center in Ghaziabad.
Vinay has a question. Vinay, please go ahead.
Sir, talking about these coming years from now on, like we can say 5 years from now or 10 years now from now. Of course, nobody can predict the future. But as per you, sir, what do you think? Will there be more opportunities coming up in the fields like PV, pharmacovigilance, or CR or RA?
Yeah, to
Basically, in
answer.
these corporate fields.
Yeah, good, Vinay. Vinay, you can go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
No, no, sir, that's it. Basically, I just want to have an idea about these corporate fields, sir. Will there be more opportunities coming up? We can talk about 5 years from now or 10 years from now. Of course, we cannot predict the future, but as per you, sir, as per your experience, what you have seen, I just want to have a basic idea. Will there be more opportunities coming up in these fields, in basically in these corporate fields?
Okay. So if you ask me about my experience, like when I passed out from PharmD, there was no job opportunities for as a clinical pharmacist. So what we did is we actually built an opportunity. We actually created a path where uh, we created an opening where we could actually work as a clinical pharmacist. When there, we built it up, and the successors, or like the people who followed, definitely had that opportunities as well. So if you ask me, in future, will there be opportunities? For sure, things are not going to be same. It's going to come back, and things for sure will wide open in future as well. Currently also, it's just we are in a mindset where we are restricted in exploring. So it's a person who wants to explore, for sure can explore better and do better as well. So explore in the sense, uh, creating an opportunity from nowhere is something what I mean by exploring. So you actually have to create an opportunity from nowhere where there is there is a your role is there, but no one has identified it in that place. Think about a hospital in a place where there is a role for clinical pharmacist, but there is no clinical pharmacist. No one's identified that role. So you can actually identify that role and give the importance for the person there and tell that. Again, a company who already has these roles going in, you actually market your talent, market your knowledge and skill and talent. That's how you actually create and explore the roles. So it's all about marketing yourself, creating opportunities for yourself. So it's how you present yourself to each person. Where there is no role, you try to build it. Where there is a role, you try to market it and do it in a better way. That's what I can say. For future, again, stays the same, because the situation for me when I passed out, so I was the second PharmD postbachelor from whole of India. So I passed out in 2012, and there was no opportunity. There was zero. No one knows what a clinical pharmacy job is, but we have come so far, way long, and it's far better than the situation when I passed out. Because for sure, you can say at that time I could have stayed saying that, okay, there's no opportunities. No one knows about this profession. No one knows about PharmD. Why should I? I'm stuck. I could have stayed in that mentality. It's all about your attitude, how you approach your profession, how you take it from there, how you market yourself, how you present yourself. You create an opportunity. It's not you wait for an opportunity, you try to knock the doors. You create for it itself for you, and you actually do it out there. That's how it works.
Saima is asking a very nice question. Sir, as a clinical pharmacist, what does your day look like in a hospital? Could you give us a glimpse of a day in your life as a clinical pharmacist?
Okay, for if you ask me, a day as a clinical pharmacist, it's it's you have multiple things coming up. So it's focusing on patient care is what you do, depending upon where you work, which specialty you work. So if you take a day as a clinical pharmacist, it starts with rounds in the sense like we'll be doing rounds, pre-rounds, to know the patient cases, to know it better understanding, so that when you do rounds with the multidisciplinary team, you have a better understanding and you can actually comment things or optimize the patient care. So it's all about going around seeing patients with before, then with the team, and subsequently planning for the patient for today or later or tomorrow, or for the patient discharge, getting patient information in regards to medication patient takes at home, and adding all those if it's missed, or optimizing the patient care, like if patient has something which needs to be titrated or up titrated based on patient response, doing that, getting the right antibiotics in. All these plays like when you work along with the multidisciplinary team. Once that's done, it's again you round, you try to make a plan for the patient, you put in notes, you evaluate, you do all these things. You may have to even counsel the patients, you get all this history, you document, and you may in between you may have to, you have the students which come up for precepting, so you precept the students, teaching the students. You may have place times in where you'll have to even teach doctors and nurses as well. Along with that, if you are have a lot of interest in research, you take research uh, along with that as well. So it's all a day which is jam packed, but you'll have to be very fresh when you start the day. And that is what is important, because fresh minds actually is very important when you give have your planning for optimizing patient care. If you have something, you may not be able to put that full in to multidisciplinary team rounding. So fresh mind definitely would be helpful when you go for patient rounds as well. It'll be jam packed full of things to do, uh, and that is what you're actually for. So the passion is there, you definitely can go ahead and do whatever the day is.
That's really great. That also carried a very nice message that whenever we wake up, we have to wake up with a fresh new face. Ritika wants to ask another question. I'll just unmute her. Yes, Ritika, you can ask.
Yes, sir. So after PharmD, if we choose to do masters in toxicology, so what option career options do we have after that, apart from the drug and poison information pharmacist?
Okay, to work as if you're talking about doing masters after toxicology, I'm not sure if you have this toxicology separate as a masters in India, but you have it outside India as well. And in India, if you're looking for a job, for sure there are some good hospitals which has toxicology and forensic medicine in its as a department. So if you work in toxicology and forensic department, it's not just giving the clinical information a patient needs. It's all about analytical toxicology as well. You analyze and see what poison patient has ingested. Suppose, think about a patient who's coming to a hospital with unknown poisoning. Patient's unconscious, someone has brought the patient to the hospital, you don't know anything. So you take the samples from the patient, you try to analyze the patient based on the samples, and you try to find out what poison patient has consumed, and based on the symptoms you try to correlate it together. So that's it's toxicology does not only restrict you to giving poison information to the physician. It's all about linking the symptoms along with the presentation, along with the findings you got in the lab, and maybe only lab findings along with presentation, maybe only presentation. You can actually do a syndromic approach. That's only based on the patient's presentation you can be able to tell what kind of poison patient has taken. So it all depends upon what you want to do as well. So it's, as I told you, toxicology is kind of a neglected field of medicine. So some hospitals have toxicology and forensic. Your role comes in those teams. So again, if it's a multi-specialty hospital, you have an option only for a drug and poison information center, where you give clinical information. You may not have an analytical option. Where you have forensic as well, you have an option for analytical labs as well, where they analyze the samples, give information along with the clinical data from the patient. So it's together. This are good options if you explore. Currently, most of the doctors our MD who work in pharmacology and toxicology are separate. Forensic, it's a separate. Forensic medicine and toxicology is separate. There are no like very limited pharmacists who are not dedicated to toxicology, but they do it as a part of their career or part of their specialty. But I don't think there is any pharmacist dedicated to toxicology, but there are definitely options where I know, like if you have read the book of Dr. V.V. Pillai in
Yes.
clinical toxicology, he's a very good person who actually promotes toxicology, and his center in Amrita is one of the best poison centers, and there are options and availabilities if you are interested and willing to do this and come back to him. He's definitely a right person to network with.
So also there are PharmDs who have actually gone for forensic sciences after PharmD. So according to you, would it be a smart choice doing that after PharmD?
Again, it's depending upon your network. If you're passionate enough for that, you have a network of people who are there to guide you, who's already in that forensic toxicology or forensic medicine, whom you already network with. If they are willing to give you an opening, definitely it's always there for you, because no one actually does or thinks about forensic medicine or toxicology. So you may be passing out after 1 or 2 years, but if the other person assures you or like says definitely if you come in we can do a better job, then definitely go ahead and do that. Nothing is a hurdle for doing this. It's just a person to guide you and give you an opportunity to work with. So if you have that person in the other side where definitely will help you to coordinate with you if you pass out, and in forensic medicine toxicology, definitely go ahead and do it. Nothing, so even if you pass out after 1 to 2 years, the opportunity is still there, because no one actually, it's very neglected field and it's very limited people only choose this field, so you still have an opening there.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
So as we move to the end, we'll just take in one last question. And a lot of people are asking to give some information about the CSIR or the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research examination.
As I'm sorry, as I told you before,
Yeah.
I am sorry, I don't know anything about this exam related to MBA.
So I guess we're done with the questions. If you have any more queries, you can reach out to Sir on LinkedIn or his email, and he'll be more than happy to answer. Even when we reached out to him, he was really, we were really glad that the way we could interact with him. So he's very friendly with all the students. You can just reach out to him if you need a mentor or someone to look up to or ask about the details. We thank you, sir, from the deepest of our hearts to give some time during this pandemic when we are trying to reach out to students and communicate with them, educate them, and it is speakers and people like you who make it all possible. And I thank you on behalf of the entire IPSF team and our president, Dr. Ayush Gandhi, and all the other main committee members. And I would ask all the participants to kindly switch on their cameras for a moment, and our editor will take a good picture or a snapshot. I guess she'll be done. Thank you, sir. And I'd also ask Dr. Ayush to go ahead and give a token of speech.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very great session, and as Vedant already told that you are very friendly, and it was very nice talking to you. Since day one, you have been coordinating very well with us, and we are glad to have you as one of our speakers. Back to you.
Thank you, Aish. Thanks for everyone for coming and attending. Hope it was useful, and for sure you will be setting goals if not done before. And
Sure,
looking forward for bright future, bright pharmacists in future as well from all of you.
Sure, sir.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll also thank all the participants for joining us as we end our very nice webinar.